Hey everyone, this is Andrew Brown. In this video, we're going to take a look at doing fine tuning, which can be very expensive and difficult. So if you're not comfortable doing it, just watch here. Especially if you're a beginner, do not do this. Just watch me and we'll learn the process here. So on the left-hand side, there is custom models, and there's two options that we have, which is create a fine tuning job and create a continuous pre-training job. And what's interesting here is that we can just upload, we can choose a source model that we want to train, let's say Titan Lite, right? And then from there, we can configure our job. We can provide input data, validation data, hyperparameters, and then it will go off and go and provision the model. What's interesting to me, though, is that if we go over to the instructions over here for model customization, it seems like it's using SageMaker. Maybe it's just for this one here. We'll go here. It's talking about SageMaker Data DO 3.0. So I'm not sure if it's just interacting with it, but I'm not sure as to why we'd have to do it this way. So, let's just read through this and try to make sense of it, because here it looks really straightforward. And, Azure has in their AI Studio pre-training, and usually you just choose the model and you upload data and then it trains, right? And so this is what I'm not exactly sure. So here we have data, and maybe they actually have a data set here, but let's read through this and see what we have. So the notebook allows you to create a Bedrock role for running customized jobs. Okay. And so in here, we can see that we are installing Bodo, AWS CLI, IP widgets. This allows you to have like widgets in your notebooks to do things. JSON lines, so we're probably going to be parsing JSON line files. It's just JSON where each line is on its own file here. Pandas, pandas for mathematical frame operations, and then matplotlib for looking at plotting. And again, just carefully looking at this here, we can see that we are setting up a new bucket here, and we are creating a Bedrock client for the Bedrock runtime as per usual. We're creating a UID here for creating a role, I suppose. Here we are listing out the foundational models that we can actually fine tune, I suppose. So here it's saying, whether you're allowed to do that or not. And one thing I learned is that it depends on what models you have available. If you don't select them all, you might not see them all. So first I thought there was a limited version of models to be fine tuned, but there's actually a lot more. So here it says create role and policies required to run customized jobs. Again, just scrolling through here, trying to find what it is that we need to find here. So the data set that will be used is a collection of new articles for CNN. So that stands for convolutional neural networks. And so they're using Hugging Face to bring in that data set. Okay. And then prepare the fine-tuned data set. We're using JSON-L data set for the following format. Okay, so a common prompt structure for fine-tuning includes system prompts. So below is an instruction that defines a task paired with an input, provides further context. Write a response that appropriately completes the request. Okay, so it's doing some summarization here. And so what I'm trying to figure out is, like, do we really need this in SageMaker? Okay, so then we have transform, create a local data set, upload our data set to S3, storing the variables used in the notebook. So far, all we've done is used, it looks like Hugging Face, which is this here, the data sets, to download a data set. There's no transformers in here, so there's nothing that's crazy going on here, but it seems like we need to download files to work with them. Let's go to the next step and see what's here. And again, they keep saying for data science 3.0. I think it's because it's using like Pandas and those other things. And so if you have that, those are going to be pre-installed for you, right? And you won't have to do that. I'm not exactly sure as to why we need the MLC 5.2 X large. It might be for preparing the data. Okay. I think what would have been more interesting is that if they showed us how to prepare data with Data Wrangler or something like that, but that's not happening here. So here, we have BERT score, so I'm assuming that is for evaluations. So what do we got here? This is, automatic evaluation metric. Okay, so that is an evaluator or evaluation metric. And just carefully going through this, select them all you would like to fine tune. Okay. And then we want to create a fine tuning job. So here, setting the hyperparameters, validation, training response, check the fine-tuning job status. Okay. Overview of provision throughput, retrieve custom model. So now we're getting the model, create provision throughput, because that's what you'll have to do, invoke the custom model, evaluate the performance of the model. So here they're using a BERT score to evaluate it, which is interesting. Look at the base model fine-tuned summary. It clearly indicates the fine-tuned model tends to improve results that are trained on, etc. Okay, so then we have this one here. And so this is talking about Titan, even though you can select whatever you want. And so what I'm trying to figure out, is this just the same thing? It's definitely a lot more organized, that's for sure. But it looks like we are training it again. And then in this one, we have another means to validate it. So it says validation lost, right? Okay, so training versus validation loss. That's kind of interesting. And invoke the model. Okay, so there's that. So these look pretty similar with the difference that, let's see here. Fine-tuning the provision model. Finally evaluate the fine-tuned model performance using FM eval on the summarization accuracy metrics. So Meteor, Rogue, and BERT scores. So I'm not sure if that's what we're using these three here. Let's see here. Finally evaluate the fine-tuned model's performance using FM eval. Okay. Foundation Model Evaluation Library, and this is made by AWS. It's a library to evaluate large language models in order to help select the best LLM for use case. That's kind of interesting. I want to make slides on that. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, so yeah, I just made some slides, but I'm noticing that these kind of match quite a bit with the evaluations that are in Bedrock, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is the exact library that is being utilized for model evaluation here. And so, you know, you can either programmatically do it or automatically do it yourself. But if you go here, you notice that we have these four things, and it does those four things. So that makes me think that this is just the model evaluation all automated. So let's go back over to our code. And not this per se, but the not this either. This over here, right? And so here it says, and finally evaluate the fine-tuned model performance using FM eval on the summarization accuracy metrics, including Meteor, Rogue, and BERT scores. So I wonder if, like, because I'm not sure if it's calling that out directly or if it just automatically runs those three when you run it for, I'm assuming that's for classification, I think. So that is something that is interesting. But let's continue on and take a look here. So here we have a tokenizer. Clearing the stores. We learned about that in another video, that you want to just reset things. We're loading Bedrock, create the fine-tuning job. Check customization job status. Retrieve custom model. Visualize training and validation loss. So it makes me think that somewhere in here, we would see that. And then if we want to utilize it, we'd have to do provisions. That's 20, 30 minutes to complete. Wow, that's a long time. So, you know, I'm just looking at this. Let's look at continued pre-training. That's another one that we might be interested in doing. Okay, and so this one here, because continued pre-training is just taking generic content and putting it into a model, right? So this one should be pretty darn straightforward. So yeah, the fine-tuning is interesting. If we were going to fine-tune one, it'd be Titan, just because it is the smaller one and more cost-effective. So that might be something that we might want to do there. But that requires labeled data. So, I mean, I suppose we can do this one and see how far we get with this. But yeah, it's saying we need an M5 C5 2x large. Let's go take a look at that. $200 hours for do we get it for free or no? No. Oh yeah, we do in the first 2 months, but I'm well past that here. But that's not for that. This is this one here, which is a half a cent per hour. So I'm just trying to think about this, because really all we need is the data prepared. The data is prepared. We can just upload it directly and train it. So I'm just trying to think of like how we can get that data set in a convenient way, or if there's a data set that we can just train on. I mean, there was data that I used when for what was for this was for Azure AI, and it was a lot easier to work with. So I'm just curious if I can use that data set. So somewhere in here, I did training. I made training data, custom model. Oh, so this is Azure examples, and everything was done under LLMs. So maybe not that. I'm just trying to see if I saved the data anywhere, because that would just save us some time here. Or it could be like Babbage, training, AWS CLI, or sorry, Azure AI. Sounds weird to go to another data set, but if it does work, that would be nice. Fine tuning. Only person coming up is me. So maybe in here, we might have an example. Sounds bizarre going to another provider, but so yeah, not exactly getting what I want here. All right, give me a second. I'm gonna go see if I can find that information. All right, so I watched one of my older videos, or not older, but a few weeks ago I was doing Azure AI, and we were doing fine tuning there. And what I did was I used Babbage, which is a very small model, to do it for classification. And so, something that I would like to know is what would happen if we try to evaluate a model for that, because maybe there's an easier way where we don't have to go full in on SageMaker here, because they're one that looks like a bit of a nightmare to utilize that lab, and there's probably an easier way to do this. So what I want to do is go to text here. I want to choose, I guess I want to choose like the lightest model that we can utilize. So let's go back over to custom models, and I'm curious what we can actually fine tune here. And so if we go here, we can fine tune light. So light is the dumbest model possible, okay? It's dumb as bricks, and that is perfect, because if we can fine tune it for what we want, then that will work. But hopefully it's not too intelligent, otherwise it's just gonna fail. But we wanna have a classification, so let me just go look at the video for 1 second. All right, so I found it was classified this animal as a bird, reptile, mammal, amphibian, or fish. I gotta make sure I spell these right. They do not look correct. So we have mammal. Okay, so we'll go back over to here. Amphibian, reptile, or fish. And so the idea is that we wanted to output after this what it is. So let's see if it can do that. And it did. So, well, actually, no, it outputted frog, which is not what we wanted. Let's try this mammal. So let's try something else like, let's say a swallow, which is a type of bird. So that one was correct. Let's try frog again. Amphibian, so that now got that one correct. Let's try this again. We'll say dog. And so notice here it's saying dog, National Geographic. So it's outputting a little bit more than what we want. See, it's going to keep doing that. Now, what if we brought this top down all the way? Now what would happen? Would we get something better? And so it's not saying mammal. I don't know why. Say like cat. Okay. And so the thing is that it does work. But what we want it to do, and hold on, let's just turn this all the way up. What happens if we turn this all the way up? What we want it to do is we want it to give exactly the single word. And we can say classify using a single word if this is this animal. Let's see if we do that. Let's just make sure prompt engineering can't fix this. So we got cat. Let's try dog. Dog. Okay, but notice that it's not outputting a single word. Okay, and so this is where it would be very good if we could iterate through an entire example and create a data set. So what I want to do is go over here. I'm going to use Claude Sonnet because that's what I used last time for this. And I'll just say, you know, I am creating a training data set for an ML model. I need more examples with no duplicate animals. You know, please give me 100 animals following this format. Okay, and so, and it's not doing what I want. So I'll try this again here. I'm creating a training tip for an LLM to fine tune it. I need more examples. I need more examples with no duplicate animals. Please give me 100 animals following this format of file. We should also look up what the format. So like JSON file format fine tuning. We'll say Amazon Bedrock. And we'll go over to here. It was actually prepare your data set here, I believe. And the format here for fine-tuning single-turn messages, and that's what we're doing here. That's single turn. So that's technically what we're doing, yeah. I just want to go take a look at text here for a second. To fine-tune a text-to-text model, prepare a training option for JSON lines. And I mean, that's basically what we're doing. But then you have this one, is a fine-tune model using a single-turn messaging format, preparing training and optional validation data set by JSON file. And so here we have system messages, role, content, role. Now this kind of looks like, this doesn't look like text completion. This looks like conversational. So this is single-turn messaging and this is multi-turn messaging, right? And we're trying to just do text-to-text. So this is kind of the format we want. And so we'll go over to here. So we'll go here, so we'll go like this. I think there's a space after this, and this would be mammal, right? So I'm creating a training data set for an LLM to fine tune it. I need more examples with no duplicate animals. Please give me 100 animals following the following by creating a JSON-L file with the following format. Okay, and let's see if it can do it. Dog, eagle. And so what I'm doing is I'm carefully seeing if there are any duplicates here. Doesn't look like duplicates so far. So we'll just wait for that to finish. All right, so we have our training data set. And it looks correct to me. Now, I'm not sure if it's 100, but we'll go grab what we have here, and we'll go and, I guess, place it in, not in here, but we'll place it in our repo here. So we'll go ahead and just say, new folder, fine tuning, and we'll just say data set, JSON-L. I believe it's a JSON-L file, so we'll go ahead and paste that in here. And so we have 91 lines, pretty close to the whole thing, but we didn't get all of it. So yeah, you stopped at 91. Can you continue on from 90 to 120? And again, make sure they are unique. And so we'll let that finish on here because I believe that when we utilize this for our actual, where it is, custom models here. When we fine tune this, we need, I thought we had to have 2 data sets. So if I go over to here, yeah, we go to light, we go down below, we have an S3 location for that, and then a validation data set. So one is the data we're training on, and the other one is the one that it will test for us, which is kind of nice because otherwise what we'd have to do is run it ourselves. Now, I'm not really sure what to set for these. I would probably just leave them alone, as I'm not the best at understanding that. Choose an S3 location to store the model validation outputs. Okay, so that would also be good to have. So while we're waiting here, let's go ahead and just make ourselves an S3 bucket for that. And so we'll create a new one here. This one's going to be called fine-tune Titan Express or Titan Light. And we'll just put some numbers here. We'll go down to the bottom. And so now we have this here. Okay, and so the idea is that we want to, do we need a separate bucket for each? I don't think so. It just says output data. So where to output the data, and then the other things are here. So I'm going to go and make 3, which will be, so say training. That'll be a training data set. Then we will also make another folder. This will be validations, validation. And then the last one will be output for the validation output. And so that way, it'll make it a lot easier for us to organize those. Let's go back to Claude. And I'm hoping that we haven't seen any repetitions. And so the reason I asked for 120 is that I want to reserve some here for testing, right? So we're going to go back over to here. The other thing is, I don't know if our LLM actually knows what all these type of animals are, but I'm hoping that it does. And so now we have, this is 121. It's because we have this incomplete prompt. Oh no, that one's complete. Okay. So we have this, and so this will be, we'll make this, rename this will just be our training data set. And we'll make another one here, and this will be our validation data set, JSON-L. And so all I'm going to do is take the last, whatever number this is here. Whoops. And so we'll go here again. We'll try this. We'll say cut. We'll paste this here. And so now we have our 2 data sets. And I'm assuming that they have to be identical. I'm not really sure. We should probably check that. So we have this, but there's nothing describing the validation data set. Optional. Okay, so data set format, AWS. We'll go over to here. Bedrock fine tuning. It's not telling us. So I'm going to go over to ChatGPT because ChatGPT seems to always be more up to date because I can't assume that the validation data set's identical. And we're going to go over to preview here and we'll just say, what is the format for text to text for the training data set and the validation data set when fine-tuning a model using Amazon Bedrock. So we'll give that a moment there. That does not seem correct to me. That's not correct. Okay, so let's go back over to here. And we still don't know how that would work. I mean, I would expect it to be the same, but we don't know for certain. So we'll just have to try it and find out. And I just want to point out again that if you are not comfortable with this, do not run it. And I strongly don't recommend you run this because I don't know how long it's going to take, to be honest. So the models need for training, you can use SageMaker Ground Truth to create and label and train data. Of course, you could do that. So let's go ahead and get this data uploaded into our target areas. So I'm going to go ahead here and just commit the fine-tuning data. And so we'll go ahead and download this one, and then we'll go ahead and download this one. And so we'll go back over to here, and we'll go into the training data. And this one will be in, I'm just trying to find it in my downloads. So here I have it, which will be here. Okay. And then we will go back a step over to here into validation, and we'll bring that on over here. Great, and so now those two are uploaded. So what we'll do is go back over to here, we'll browse, and I hate how you can't just refresh it. You'll have to hit a refresh here. What's the point of having a refresh if it doesn't actually do that? So we'll go here, and I want to go to fine tune. And this is for training, I believe. And we'll select this one. We'll try this again. We'll go to fine tune, validation here. This will be animal classification. This will be fine tune classification animal. We're not going to do any VPC settings here. Choose an S3 location to store the model validation output. So we'll go into here and place it here in the outputs. There has to be a file there. Okay. I don't understand. It wants a file. Okay. Saves the output path. Validation outputs to the output path at the end of the fine-tuning job. It's bizarre because, like, clearly here, I just can't select it. So I'll go here and just say output. There we go. Bedrock model customization job requires permission to write on S3 on your behalf. Sure. Create a new one. Let's just create more. Fine-tune service role. All right. We'll go ahead and look down here. Purchase provision throughput to use fine-tune model. So after this custom model is created, you need to purchase provision throughput. Purchase provision throughput to be able to use this model. Okay, so, you know, even if we get to that point and we can't do that, that's totally fine. But let's just go see what happens here. Actually, before we do, let's go look up the cost of fine-tuning. So fine-tuning pricing AWS. And we'll go here and take a look. So for fine-tuning a model, it says 1,000 tokens. It looks really cost-effective, to be honest. It says price to train 1,000 tokens. So it doesn't look like a whole lot, and I think we're okay. So we'll go ahead and run that. Again, don't do this. Just let me do it. You don't need to create a fine-tuning job and do this. We can just let me worry about the cost here. But I don't imagine it'll be very expensive. It's just hard to calculate. I have to calculate the token cost, and I don't feel like doing that. So just give it a moment here to queue up. All right, so something's happened here. I only waited a little bit here. So it says the timing can vary depending on your hypertuning parameter settings. How do I know that this is training? I don't even know. Where did it go? And it is just gone. Like, where is it? Oh, jobs. Here it is, jobs. Okay, so it's training. And again, I'm not sure how expensive this is going to be. I really hope that I'm not losing a bunch of money, but I can stop this job at any time. So if it takes too long, then I can always come back here and stop it. So I guess what we'll do is we'll just wait for this to complete. And in the meantime, I'm going to try and do something else. Okay, ciao. All right, so I just wanted to show you our progress with training. It says that we've been only training for 3 minutes, but we've been training for a couple of hours. And so I'm getting kind of concerned about what the spend could be. And it's not really giving me any information. So I'm actually going to go ahead and stop this job. But at least we did give our attempt to figure out how to train it. And I have successfully trained models in at least other platforms. But, that's generally how it would work. But, again, unless AWS is giving me the credits here, I don't want to find out I have a big bill. I couldn't even find pricing examples. So if we go over to, like, let's say AWS GenAI pricing, right? And we try to look up their pricing for fine tuning. So we go all the way down to the ground here. We have Amazon, and it shows it for like images. So it doesn't really help us. And there was other ones I was trying to find the cost, but it's just not clear. So with AWS not providing clear instructions, clear examples, etc., I think that we've kind of satisfied the ability to do fine tuning here. But yeah, there you go. Okay.